Okay. Hey, what's going on, YouTube? This your boy Jabari 4 here for the first time ever. In all of these that I've done, I have a guest.
I'm so excited.
I have a guest that's going to watch this bullshit with me.
I demanded to be here. I'm Alex Dante. I'm here to give reaction and feedback to the horror genre. It's true and near to my heart.
Very much so if you've seen his apartment. Now, for those who may be unfamiliar, if y'all saw The Assistant 2, this is the writer-creator of The Assistant 2. All right? So y'all make sure to go check that out if you haven't. Okay, are you ready?
As ready as we can be.
Because, now mind you, we have not pre-watched this. Have I pre-watched this?
No.
So, I don't know what form of fuckery there is to await us.
We give no apologies ahead of time.
So, I'm ready to watch people be stupid.
I ruined my life with my own two hands when I was just 16 years old. I still haven't gotten over the incident, as the events of that day are continually replaying in my mind every time I close my eyes. The ruining of my life started on 12th of April, 2017. I had recently started my sophomore year at high school, but unfortunately...
Do you see it?
Oh, the triceps?
Yes. I was going to call it out. I was like, wait,
it's
do you
definition.
See it?
So,
do you see it?
We don't know. We don't know this person's identity, their gender identity.
But they've been to the gym.
She, whatever pronoun they prefer, is masculine. Yes, let's get into the, I always pay attention because I don't know if it's the animators or if it's the story. But I point out little stuff like the girl on the far right reading the book suspiciously. I wonder if she's part of the story. You always look out for them corner. Early. Because why is she highlighted? Just...
So you thinking way too far. You thinking from a writer's perspective.
Yeah, I'll be with the shit.
Unless she says something, none of you matter.
Yeah.
She's the only person here that...
So we're going to watch triceps as she strolls through the hall.
Okay.
For me, everyone avoided me as I was the freakishly manly Summer Moore.
That was not shade.
I apologize.
That was not shade. So that was on purpose. Okay.
Oh.
That was on purpose.
We saw.
It was a bad nickname that I had been given through my school years. The reason behind the nickname was because my father used to be a professor.
But then again, if they talk shit, I can whoop their ass.
You having tone does not mean you have weight.
I would be scared of a big bitch walking around looking like that. I'm not gonna say shit. Don't know what
but she could feel lonely, isolated, because if you're masculine, no boy athlete's gonna want to date you.
I mean, well,
I would say girls that look like that in high school were usually their boyfriends were usually a beard, right?
Oh, are they all lesbians?
Can we talk about it?
Are they all? Not the beard.
Professional wrestler and bodybuilder. So when I was a kid, I started to follow him around and do everything that he did. The little exercises and workouts that I had done when I was trying to be like my dad had already changed my body before my mom put a stop to it. It wasn't that bad, as I was just a bit muscular and strong. But the other kids didn't see it that way, so they constantly made fun of me for it. I grew up in a Christian home, so I was told to just ignore it and be myself, which is what I did. I stayed on my own for most of my time. I ate alone and did everything by myself. But come the 12th of April, something bizarre happened. It was during the afternoon.
I just can't imagine being a bully and being built you can't. How you gonna talk shit about me and I can knock you out? What was said?
She was a bodybuilder. Yeah. But then you have to approach everyone as a bully. That's not organic, genuine friendship. She probably felt isolated. She said it. She ate alone, read alone.
But them hoes up there snickered in the corner. What was said? Huh? What's so funny?
So you're obviously the villain in this story. You can see that now.
Let me just shut up.
I was by myself in the cafeteria when Jennifer Martin walked up to me. I was speechless as no one paid attention to me, and the girl, Jennifer, was one of the most popular kids in school.
What is this?
A beard.
No, what is this on the plate?
It looks like when they asked for extra cranberry during Thanksgiving.
I thought it was supposed to be meat for spaghetti, but it's...
You know what?
It has grass dribbled all over it. That's the stuff I'd be like, what is on this plate?
Before I could say anything, she said, "Hey, Summer, I'm having a sleepover with the girls tonight, and I'll love you to be there."
Child.
I was too stunned to say anything, so she just continued with, "Okay, I hope you'll come. See you at 8. Bye." And with that, she...
We've seen this in Carrie. We've seen this in real life when that one black girl went to like the little sleepover with all the white color. Never seen from. How many times do y'all have to learn? If this is not your clique, do not go out with them.
But she's lonely though. She wants friends. But the thing that's suspicious to me is I didn't even respond to you. You just said, "All right, see you at 8." Like, wait.
You have plans. You have plans for me.
Did she give me an address?
Do I have
Where am I going?
How do I know?
Where am I going? Who all be there? That's black folk. We ask who all gonna be
walked
there.
away. That day when I went home, I was still shocked at what happened. So I told my mom.
Gotcha.
When I was done, I told her that it may be a bad idea as I didn't feel like going. But my mom was ecstatic, as she knew it had been a while since I spoke about friends or social gatherings. So she advised me to go, as she said that it'd be an amazing experience. So I really should give it a chance. So I agreed. I got ready, and I arrived there at 8 p.m. My mom bid me goodbye as she drove off.
Oh, no.
As I walked to the house, I began to ask myself, what?
The mom didn't have no type of relationship with their parents. You just literally dropped your child off at the street corner and continued to pull off.
We are black. We are black. The mama come in and say, "Hey, how you doing? What's your phone number? Let me get a good look at your face."
It's just odd to me that the mom would be so concerned about her daughter being able to fit in with society-wise in high school, but not necessarily see it through. Like, okay, you're on your own, like from the street. It just seems odd. It seems odd. Like, I want you to be able to fit in.
But then again, if my daughter looked like that, I probably wouldn't worry too much about her either.
You wouldn't worry.
Not as much. What they gonna do?
Not physically, but she clearly is emotionally fractured.
Sure.
All right.
I guess. But
the popular kids would invite me to their sleepover. I then remembered that me and Jennifer were childhood friends. But as we grew up, Jennifer became popular, so she stopped talking to me.
You admitted that.
So I told myself that the invitation was just Jennifer trying to do something nice. As I knocked on the door, I felt a bit nervous as I started to think I had made a bad decision. But before I could turn around, the door was open and Jennifer welcomed me in with a huge smile. As I walked in, I noticed that there were 4 other girls there.
Is that Annabelle?
The girls were Alice, Ruby, Audrey, and Claire. All of the popular girls. With Jennifer, host of the sleepover. It didn't take long before the sleepover activity started, as they began to do each other's makeup and have pillow fights. I didn't participate much, as I felt like the odd one out at the gathering. So I just sat by myself. I began to feel homesick, and something told me to call my mom, but it was already pretty late, so I knew I had to sleep there. I did nothing for a while, till Claire suggested that we play the creepy game, Light as a Feather. I didn't join in, as I grew up in a Christian home, and I was advised to stay away from the so-called silly, creepy games, as most of them were really evil, and they attracted bad things. So I told them that I wasn't going to do it, as the game didn't sit right with me.
Is she mixed? Is her dad black?
Her dad. We saw her dad, and both of those people look Caucasian.
Is he mixed?
There's a touch of crayon in there.
Somebody got raised by somebody with melanin. Somebody somewhere has melanin in her upbringing. Maybe it was a neighbor.
It had to be.
Because she's giving me very much. I'm not doing that shit. We don't do that. We don't play with evil spirits.
Mm-mm. But I feel like the girl I pointed out in the beginning was reading that book on the side. I feel like that's one of the bitches that's there too.
I thought about that too, but I was like, but her hair looked like orange. It looked more orange.
When we play this back, we'll be able to say yeah or no.
They all ignored me and began to play the game by themselves.
I thought that was
the lights were turned off, and Audrey said, "I should be the one in the middle. I'm lightweight." So they put her in the middle and began to repeatedly chant the mantra, "Light as a feather, stiff as a board." I don't know if it was just me, but I felt the air become a bit dense as I began to get some chills. I watched them continue to chant the words repeatedly in the dark, and I began to feel uneasy. That's when the cupboard at the end of the room creaked open. The hair on my hands began to stand on end as I looked closer at the cupboard. I couldn't believe my eyes as I saw a petrifying being walking out of the cupboard. I couldn't see it well as it was dark, but I could make out its deformed face and the long horns that protruded from its head.
Absolutely not. See, this is why I keep my Bible close to my bed. This is why I keep my Bible close to my bed and my sage in that drawer to battle the evil demons.
So the thought that would have hit me was, by the time the other girls looked up, I would have been a silhouette. They would have seen an outline of my shadow and like the window open and blown. But then I also would think, does the rules of like the mummy apply? Like if I'm in the room when this is happening, am I still cursed too? Kind of thing.
Final destination type shit.
You know what I mean? Like, am I a part of the situation because I'm present, or is it just the people speaking?
I'll take my chances by not being present right now in this moment.
A silhouette.
I'm gone.
Began to walk closer and approach me.
This could be somebody with a mask too, though. Like, it's too just convenient that you just walk.
My scream brought the attention of all the other girls towards me as they all slowly turned to look at me before they began to laugh. They all laughed at me and they started to tease me. All the while, the demon was still approaching me. My mind didn't know what was going on, as I didn't know if the demon was real or fake. I didn't know if it was a prank or if they had all been possessed, as the sight of them laughing in the darkness was uncanny. With so much to process, I felt my fear turn into searing anger as my blood began to boil. I don't know why, but it was as if my body had a mind of its own as I stood up and lunged at the demon. With all my strength, I toppled it down and I started to punch it severely.
See? There was nothing to worry about. There was nothing to worry about.
That's not what that means.
There was nothing to worry about. See, Mama knew. She was like, girl, she'll be fine.
That's not what that means. Do not try this at home, all right? As if you're watching, we do not advise.
Look, if they know anything, they shouldn't be doing none of the shit that they see. If y'all here, y'all know what it is. But like,
the other girls began to rush towards me as they tried to pull me off. They were screaming words at me, but I couldn't hear anything. My mind had completely zoned out all the noise as I kept beating down on the demon. I began to strangle it with all my strength as I felt myself squeeze the life out of it. It had stopped moving before I heard someone scream the word, "Stop!" The lights were put on, and I saw Miss Martin standing in the room. I looked down to see blood on my hands as she approached me and pulled me off the supposed demon. With the lights on, I could see that the thing lying down on the floor was a high-end demon costume, as it looked extremely real. And that's when the horrific realization dawned on me.
It was her friend.
As I realized, someone was in it.
It was her
The
friend.
bloody mask was removed, and on the floor laid a beaten-up Jennifer.
Look, Jennifer,
You got what was coming.
I can't feel sorry for you.
Nobody does. Nobody does. And I would look around the room as the girl, the victim, and the true victim in this story, and I'm like, well, let this be a lesson to you.
Don't fuck with
I wouldn't have broke face.
If y'all tried to pull this prank, y'all thought it was cute. Y'all thought it was key.
Now somebody's dead.
So now what? What do we do now?
There's nothing to do.
You gonna arrest me?
I
defend it for myself.
I'll take a warm honey bun. It's too late to still call my mother, so I'm sleeping over.
Can you imagine?
The night's not over. All right? Wrap this part up.
You killed my daughter and I still let you sleep in my house. Bitch, please.
My mama's not coming to get me.
Her face was disfigured and bloody, and she wasn't moving.
I mean, could she
Jennifer's mother began to check her vitals, but nobody needed to tell me, as I knew she was already dead. My life was turned upside down after that night. A kid was dead, and I was the murderer. My parents fought tooth and nail to make sure nothing happened to me. I was 16, so the case was handled by the juvenile justice system.
I don't see what the
Investigations were carried out, and it was revealed that the whole thing was a prank planned by Jennifer. The remaining girls confessed that Jennifer orchestrated the whole thing, as since we were childhood friends, she knew most things about me, which is why she predicted that I wouldn't participate in the game. So under the guise of darkness, she left.
So you knew I wasn't with that bullshit, and you still tried.
There's only one victim here.
It's not. I don't see why.
And she's on the stand right now. There's only one real victim.
There's no reason. Let her go. Let her go.
It's an
The
open
woman
shot.
turned down the heat to make the house cold, which explained why the air felt dense to me. She then dressed up in a really expensive and realistic costume. She then decided to scare me while the others laughed. No one expected the outcome to be like this. During the following months, it became case after case, hearing after hearing. My lawyer said I was mentally and psychologically abused, so I acted under trauma and self-defense. But the Martins didn't give up, as no matter how anyone put it, I killed their daughter, regardless of how mean or how wrong she was. I saw how Miss Martin looked at me that night, as I knew she would have killed me if my mom hadn't showed up on time. I know she still wants to make me and my family suffer, which they haven't given up till this day, as it's still lawsuit after lawsuit. They said no matter what happened, they'd never let the case stop till they are given justice. So the case is constantly being reviewed. I made the lives of my family a living hell, as every new year, we constantly visit the court. While I know they'd never give up on me, sometimes I just wish I could plead guilty and go to prison, as even if that would be bad for me, I know it would relieve my family from all the pain and frustration that I have caused these past few years.
That she has caused.
Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying the...
That's just not what's happening. I don't understand why she's so upset. Like, she's still innocent, and it's kind of frustrating. Like, bitch, I wish I would.
And the other entitled bitch that wants to line up behind Jennifer, get in line.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know why y'all fucking with her. Shit, she said she orchestrated the whole thing. She set her own funeral up.
I was looking on my phone to see if this like story would pop up like an actual news article.
Obviously, if it was,
It's free, and you can change your mind later. Enjoy. Tamla Horsford arrived at the party around 8:30 p.m. The 40-year-old black mother had made dinner for her 5 sons and husband, Leanne.
Not they have a real picture. Why does this story have real like weight to it?
First of all, they said a lot in a very few seconds. I think I need to rewind. They did a lot about her in a very few seconds. Damn.
And does the picture accurately depict her, or are we taking liberties?
I mean, never mind. I was about to say something.
Because that looks like a wider note. I'm
about to say the bags are there. But I'm better than that now.
8:30 p.m. The 40-year-old black mother had made dinner for her 5 sons and husband, Leander, before heading out to celebrate the birthday of her friend, Jean Myers. Myers had invited a group of moms, most who'd met through the local youth football league, to spend the night, not wanting anyone to drink and drive. Horsford arrived with a bottle of tequila.
This sounds like that real life story that we saw.
When?
Like about like remember that that picture of those white girls sitting around on the couch and that black friend was there and she was never heard from. This feels very much like that.
We'll know when they open the door.
Yep. And a small overnight bag, and changed into white onesie pajamas covered in paw prints shortly after she got there. The party, held the evening of November 3rd, 2018, was originally meant to be all women.
Yeah, this is that story.
Because they got that. Wait a minute. What?
Tamla Horsford. Yeah. Tamla Horsford. Is that her name? Is that what they said?
Yeah. Football mom with the
Oh, this was here.
Oh, never mind. Cut it off. Cut it off.
Yeah. I knew. This sounded real familiar.
But Myers' boyfriend, Jose Barrera, and Tom Smith, the husband of another attendee, ended up sticking around. In the end, the group...
There it is. That's exactly what I was looking for. I knew I wasn't crazy.
I was about to say, I knew I was going to see it. I know it when I saw it. Ooh, this is eerie. Sometimes when they be real, it be like...
Give me the facts. I've always been curious about this story, so I'm interested to hear.
I don't know, child.
I'm taking some liberties with the drawings, but yeah. Go ahead.
Advocates for Horsford, would later dubbed the Forsyth 12, included 9 women, 2 men, and 1 husband, who, according to police interviews, only dropped off and picked up his wife. Out of these 12, 8 were planning to spend the night, as was Tamla. While the women drank, socialized, and watched the LSU-Alabama game upstairs, Barrera and Smith watched football in Myers' finished basement. During this time, Horsford, the only habitual smoker at the party, regularly stepped out to the balcony for cigarettes. She also smoked pot that evening, but Myers asked her to stop. According to Myers' own statement, she had teased Horsford during the conversation, calling her the female Bob Marley, and reminding her that Barrera worked as a pretrial officer and did not approve. Eventually, the men joined the party, and the group played Cards Against Humanity. Photographs and videos captured during the game show. Horsford smiling happily. She had been drinking tequila, but according to photos, videos, and witness accounts, Horsford didn't appear particularly drunk that evening. Guests who weren't spending the night began to leave around 11:30 p.m., while those who stayed trickled off to bed over the next couple of hours. According to police interviews, Horsford remained awake after Myers and Barrera headed to bed around 1:30 a.m. The last person to see Horsford was Bridget Fuller, who was picked up by her husband at 1:47. In her statement, Fuller says that Horsford was eating a bowl of gumbo and had said she planned to smoke a cigarette and head to bed. Over the next 10 minutes, the home security system registered the back door opening, closing, and then opening again for the last time at 1:57 a.m. Around 8:45 the next morning, Madeline Lombardi, Myers' aunt who lived at the house, headed into the kitchen to make her morning cup of coffee. In her interview with police, Lombardi described seeing something chilling through the window in the backyard. The white dog print onesie. It was Horsford, face down in the grass, not moving. After saying a prayer, Lombardi headed upstairs to find Myers, telling her something appeared to be wrong with her. Forsyth County 911 got the call.
Hold on. After saying a prayer.
Like, wait, what prayer did you say? You saw a dead woman outside. And
let me just go ahead and say a prayer. No, like I saw a dead woman through the glass outside. I didn't go out there. It's like, ooh, it's a dead. Let me just go ahead and say a real quick prayer for you. I just hope you're all right out there. All right, let me go upstairs. It doesn't make sense.
Let me say something is wrong. Clearly. No shit.
Just before 9 a.m., Horsford was pronounced dead at the scene, and her body sent for autopsy. But even before the report came back, the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office began to work the theory that Horsford's death had been an accident, a fall from the second-story outdoor deck. The case remained open for almost 4 months until the FSCO made their official determination on February 20th, 2019. 2 weeks after the state of Georgia medical examiner provided their final report. The FSCO pointed to the toxicology report, which tested positive for THC and clocked her blood alcohol content at .238, just shy of 3 times the legal limit to drive. With a BAC typically associated with blackouts, loss of coordination, and even vomiting, the FSCO determined that marijuana and alcohol use likely contributed to the fall. They also noted the door alarm log, as well as an unlit cigarette and lighter Barrera said she found on the upper deck. Together, the investigators found that this evidence suggested Horsford went out for a cigarette sometime around 1:57 a.m. and accidentally fell to her death. When they closed the case, the department released the incident report and death investigation to the public. But these documents didn't provide the answers Horsford's family and friends were looking for. In fact, they only caused more confusion. How did a woman with that high of a BAC appear in control of her facilities, according to interviews as well as video taken that night, yet managed to fall over a nearly 4-foot railing and into the backyard? How could a house full of people, some asleep for less than half an hour, not hear Horsford fall to her death right outside their windows? Could a 15 to 20-foot fall cause not only death, but a dislocated wrist, broken neck, and a laceration to her heart muscle? Why wasn't the scene preserved, evidence tested, or potential witnesses interviewed immediately? What happened when the back door opened just before 2 a.m.? And why is it left open until the next morning? And would the investigation have gone differently if Horsford wasn't the only black person at the party? Horsford was born in St. Vincent and the Grenadines in 1978, where she lived until her family moved to the Bronx in 1989. She'd met her husband in Florida, who had a daughter from a previous relationship, and they went on to have 5 sons together. When Horsford died, her youngest son was only 4 years old. By all accounts.
Can we go back to that picture of the kids? What in the antebellum is going on?
Like,
what is this?
Why does this look like it was in the 1800s?
That's not a recent picture of their kids.
I don't eat.
No, because it's like 6 of them. They only have 5 kids. Is this a picture of her when she was a kid?
I think this they met their husband, and the husband had a daughter from a previous marriage.
She is the one. That's got to be her as a little girl.
That's probably what it is.
That's got to be her as a little girl. Like, the audio wasn't matching.
When Horsford died, her youngest son was only 4 years old. By all accounts, Horsford was the life of the party. She liked to laugh, to dance, to have fun. When the Horsfords moved to Georgia 5.5 years earlier for Leander's work, it was this warmth that had attracted Myers and others to the charismatic mother. But the questions surrounding Horsford's case goes beyond the optics of a black woman dying at a party with a group of white people. According to the autopsy from the Georgia Bureau of Investigations, Horsford showed blunt force trauma to her head, neck, torso, and extremities, including abrasions of the face, 4 types of hemorrhages in the skull and brain, dislocation of the right wrist, and cuts on her arms and legs. Additionally, she suffered a broken neck and a laceration of the right ventricle of the heart. According to the incident report, written by lead investigator Mike Christian, Horsford's body position was also examined at the scene. Most notable, when Tamla was turned over, was the fact she had come to rest face down. Christian writes, her head had not been canted to one side or the other. Horsford's legs were found extended behind her, with both feet pointing to the right, and her right arm close to her body. Her left arm was found extended and bent at the elbow. Friends, family, and advocates have doubted whether Horsford's injuries and resting position could be the result of a fall from the balcony. Some have questioned whether the injuries to her hands and arms could be defensive wounds, which would suggest perhaps an altercation before either going over the balcony or being positioned in the backyard. In fact, the incident report shows that Christian's initial theory was that Horsford had experienced a fall not from the deck, but from the ground. Due to landscaping edging that matched scrapes on Horsford's shins, Christian only brought the balcony fall theory to Dr. Andrew Koopmeiners, Associate Medical Examiner with the Georgia Bureau of Investigations, after the medical examiner explained that the injuries suffered could not have been caused by a ground-level fall. In his final report, Koopmeiners concluded that appeared as though she may have fallen from the deck, ultimately ruling that her injuries were consistent with those received in a roughly second-story fall. Potential evidence may also have been compromised or missed. The scene was never secured, and at least one witness, pretrial officer Barrera, told investigators he touched the body, saying he moved Horsford's leg while trying to figure out if she was still alive. Barrera also said in his interview he found and moved the unlit cigarette and lighter on the deck before he saw the body. But because police believed the death to be an accident, no evidence was ever fingerprinted. And though Barrera states on the original 911 call that security cameras were installed and pointed at the backyard, the batteries were found to be dead and the cameras not recording. During the autopsy,
here's my thing. I just feel like it was late. Somebody probably approached her, tried to get some. She pushed away their advances, and next thing you know, dead at the party.
It's giving one of these women in here use the N-word. I'm sorry. It's giving one of these women use the N-word and they just got drunk and just said something they had no business. They got into it and she...
Off you go.
And slid right up underneath her husband. I'm just saying.
Because my thing, I guess what I'm not understanding is if we got a door system that monitors the door open at a certain time, close, and open up again, the door to the back kitchen or whatever she's going out to smoke is on the ground level. Wouldn't she have to go inside up the stairs to get to the balcony, like through a room?
I was like, wait a minute. I thought this was a one level. Oh, how did she get to the top? I thought she was going out the back in the kitchen.
See, that's the question I had. Because if you're going out to go smoke in the kitchen, unless she went to her room. No, because I thought the cigarettes.
What they said.
The cigarettes were like at the kitchen because they were like the monitor for the door open and closed. But I don't know if they clarified if it was at the ground level or the top level.
I think I just assumed because usually people go out to the porch just like on the ground level.
Because that's where she was that first time, and they kind of show her cigarettes were still there. So if we were using deduction, she was coming out at the ground level. So how did she get to the second story? And my assumption also through a bedroom, particularly like the master bedroom. Now this isn't her house, which means I think the host and her man probably went to sleep. They didn't hear her coming in and out. It doesn't make sense.
But the door, so they said it was open, closed, then open again.
If the door is open and if it's at the top in somebody's room, they would feel the air.
And it's just, how did it open again?
Somebody came back in.
or like something.
Make it make sense.
Something's not adding up.
Make it make sense.
Neither a sexual assault kit nor fingernail clippings were collected. In a call with Rolling Stone.
And the fact that that just so happened to not be recording and dead that day. All right,
Georgia.
y'all could try to pull the wool over many bitches' eyes, but not mine.
GBI Public Affairs Director Nellie Miles explained that these steps are not routine and weren't taken in this case because there was no indication of foul play. The GBI's Division of Forensic Science also declined to test the contents of the bottle of tequila that Horsford had brought that evening. Miles explained that it's standard policy not to test for illicit substances when the possible suspect is deceased, as there would be nobody to hold accountable if they were to find drugs present. The case still remains a mystery, but like Horsford's family, we too want justice for her and hope soon the truth will come out on this matter.
This is bullshit.
Saco, Maine, just outside of Portland, is your typically beautiful New England town. And
What's I just felt like true sleepover horror stories. So are all of these real?
No, there's been so many that I've done that have said true, blah, 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 and they have fucking fairies and unicorns and other type of supernatural bullshit. It's just recently they start using real shit.
Ashley Eullet.
That does not say omelet.
Of course it does.
There's not even an M in there. That's you made that up.
Ashley Eullet
what it says,
was your typical
Ashley.
15-year-old girl. When Ashley asked her mom if she could sleep over at a friend's house, there really was no cause for concern. At just after 10 p.m. on February 9th, 1999.
All of this is happening. My birthday is February 18th, and I'm just a little concerned during this Aquarian season.
Can't trust him.
Do you have something on your heart, young sir?
I don't like y'all.
Okay. That's clarity.
I mean, look, I said what I said. I like some of y'all. I put it like that because Scott is one of y'all too.
Appreciate that.
Lise got a goodnight call from Ashley. The last words she ever heard from her daughter.
The score sounds like
6 hours later, at almost exactly 4 a.m., a man driving home from work sees something in the road ahead. As he gets closer, he realizes to his horror, it's a dead teenager. It's Ashley Eullet, strangled to death with her neck broken. How did Ashley get from the safety of a friend's sleepover to the hard, cold asphalt of Pine Point Road in a neighboring town nearly 10 miles away?
A hating ass bitch.
It doesn't take long to piece together the last few hours of Ashley's life.
Are you sure?
The timeline begins at 10 p.m., just after her goodnight call to her mom. Ashley and her sleepover friends are visited by a few boys from school. And Ashley's mom says she was told one of the boys was named Jay Carney. So the girls let them in and the girls started talking. And then they said that they were heading up to the Sanborn house, said Elise Eullet, the home of Earl and Muriel Sanborn. Their sons, Stephen and Danny, are also Ashley's classmates. I think she wanted to be with Stephen, said Elise. I think she had a crush on him, but I don't think she ever was involved with him. And that's the thing. She wanted to see Stephen that night, from what the girls said. According to a friend, Ashley stayed at the Sanborns' house while the other girls went home. What happens next depends on who you ask. The Sanborn boys and their parents have told police Ashley was offered a place to sleep on their couch, but they claim she left on her own after they all went to bed. It's about 10 miles from the Sanborn residence to Ashley's home. Police are suspicious and get a search warrant for the Sanborn home and Daniel's car. They want to know what happened at the Sanborns. According to published news reports, police retrieve what appears to be spots of blood and evidence of sexual activity from the Sanborn home. They also impound Danny Sanborn's car. They find patches of dry brown grass similar to grass found on Ashley's body. Raising even more suspicion, Danny can't keep his story straight. In an affidavit, he first says he went to school that morning. Later, Danny changes his story and tells authorities he spent the day at the beach. To Ashley's family, that's reason for suspicion.
There it is.
But it's not enough for cops to make an arrest or file charges. Police won't
That's
name
enough for
a
me. Put him in
suspect.
the jail.
Despite Ashley's mom's beliefs, Danny Sanborn denies any involvement and has never been charged in connection with Ashley's murder. He and his brother Stephen, along with his parents, have been questioned by the cops several times, and they've never been charged with any wrongdoing either. Crime Watch Daily did confirm Danny Sanborn does have a long rap sheet. He's been convicted of assault on a police officer and spent 3 years in prison after being busted for heroin possession with intent to distribute.
With what possession?
Heroin. Not heroin. Heroin. To make it not be as impactful, I guess. But
I'm like, and what distribution?
The Maine State Police calls this an open, ongoing, and confidential investigation and will not comment at this time. But there is one person who claims he knows who did it. The man who could solve the murder mystery goes missing. As police continue the search for Ashley Eulet's killer, another family begins the search for their missing son. And the two cases would cross paths. Ashley was strangled to death, and her neck was reportedly broken. Then, somebody dumped her body on a desolate road in Saco, Maine, before dawn on a cold February morning. In the tangled web of rumor and suspicion, there's one young man who says he knows for sure who did it. But this horrible secret would disappear with him 3 months later. Tony Torres was a popular, athletic young man from the area who had moved to Massachusetts for college. He was a good son who always made time for family, said Narciso Torres, Tony's father. His last trip home was no different. He came to honor his mom on Mother's Day, and it was just like any other visit, telling us how he was doing in school, and life seemed good for him. Tony also never missed a chance to hang out with his high school friends back home. That spring break, the party talk around the area was consumed with who killed Ashley Eullet. Everybody in the small town was talking about it. In fact, one night at home with his parents, Tony drops a chilling revelation about her murder. He didn't tell us who, but he said he knows who did it. And he said it in a way that he left no doubt, said Narciso Torres. We were in the living room watching the news, and the story of Ashley Eullet came up, and he immediately said, I know who killed her. I knew the people who killed her, said Narciso. And I cautioned him, you're either going to go to the police with this information, or you're going to keep your mouth shut. But be careful who you share this with. At the time, I didn't know how much to believe.
That's your advice as a parent? To tell the police or to shut up as the parent? That's your advice? That's actually, so look at what the mothers did in the scenario. Look at what this father told his, I'm assuming, black son.
I mean,
is Ashley white girl? I feel like she's
if I'm trying to protect you,
I feel like she's maybe Latina.
If I'm trying to protect you, then okay, if you know something, you got to go straight, because if you tell the wrong person, then you're going to get shanked.
But I just think as a parent, what kind of emotional damage I could do if my child is holding on knowing who killed somebody. Like,
that's real life.
What's your support? Just deal with it?
That's real life.
We have to do better as a community.
That is real life.
That is the response.
Because I'm scared. Shit. What would you do? What would you tell them? What's the first thing to do?
Well, who are they? That's first. So the way.
So you want them to tell you?
So the weight's not just on you as a parent. Like you have to be able to have your child have that relief, because like, it's just on you. Like the pressure, the emotional damage is just on your child, and then we as your support system can then go to the police. What he did say was, you go to the police. Good luck, or you shut up. Like it's only your problem. And to this day, I don't know nothing about it. Look,
that's all I can say. I don't know anything that can question me. He probably thinking about himself. He's like, look, as long as I don't know, I'm innocent.
I'm over. Look at the look in his eyes. He don't have an upper lip, I can tell. Let's just go.
It's the highlighter on the forehead.
Believe that he actually knew, and the little bit of, a little part of me feared for him. Because, witnesses can be silenced. Mm-hmm. I wish I could go back now and pick him up by his shirt and say, we're going to the police right now, said Narciso. But I didn't do that. Tony's dad was right to be concerned. 3 months later, after Ashley's murder, Tony mysteriously vanishes. Tony's parents shared with Crime Watch Daily the timeline of that night as told to them by police. At 2 a.m., Tony is partying at his ex-girlfriend's apartment. A close friend of the Sanborns, Jay Carney, was also there. Tony and Carney leave together for a store on the corner. A short time later, Carney comes back alone. Tony is never seen again. Jay Carney is the same guy who reportedly gave Ashley a ride to the Sanborns the night she was murdered. Tony has been missing for 17 years. He was declared dead in 2004, but his body has never been recovered. His family believes there's a connection between Ashley's murder and Tony's disappearance. Both Ashley's murder and Tony's disappearance are open and active cases, and Maine State Police will not comment about either one of them right now. Maine State Police are no longer talking. Both investigations are still open, but police are not releasing any records. Nobody has ever been charged with either crime. We don't know where Tony is. Is he dead or alive? And what exactly happened that night?
So y'all not gonna question the motherfucker? Y'all just gonna let the man, like, did nobody ask?
The white privilege is profound and pronounced.
That's bullshit. Those last two stories were some bullshit.
And they were disrespectful because we started with the real images. So, like, now
I was like, oh, so
I'm vested.
This is where we're going.
Right.
And Tony was kind of cute too. That's a shame. It's a shame.
If he wasn't a looker, it would make it easier to swallow, huh?
It would make it easier. It's still hurtful. It's still a shame. However, shut up. So that was the first one. Whew. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, follow Alex.
Alex Jante on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. Follow my YouTube channel, Jante Productions, to see this individual in The Assistant 2 and for further upcoming projects.
Yes, okay. So we're going to probably film one or two more of these, depending on how much my mental can take. So we'll see y'all the next one. Bye.